everyone, and welcome to the 6th episode of the Anti-Natal News Podcast, happenings in the development of the anti-natalist world for the month of June 2021, brought to you by Anti-Natalism International. Keep in mind that due to time, not all the news that happens every month can be reported on within the show, and not all the links can be added to the description box due to the allowed length per video. So make sure to follow the link below to the Anti-Natalism International website to see a far more in-depth collection of links to everything. And now, for the antenatal news of June 2021. So first off, let's take a look at the new articles for June 2021. All of these articles that we'll be speaking about are in English. There were other articles released in other parts of the world in other languages this month, but just for now, we'll be focusing on the English ones. There were a bunch of little articles here and there that, mention anti-natalism once or twice. I'm not going to go into any detail about any of those for now, but I have saved them all, and you can find links to all of them on the ANI website, link below. The big news is that there were an astonishing 5 different articles this month about the incredible new anti-natalist organization based out of Seattle, Stop Having Kids. Stop Having Kids is a huge source of inspiration to me personally lately. They are just kicking so much ass and doing such great work, and I do believe this month is the first time that they have received any actual media attention, and I'm quite sure that it will not be the last. The articles about them were from such publications and websites as ChristianDaily.com, TheNewAmerican.com, WesternJournal.com, AlphianNews.com, and SocialActuality.com, and as you can imagine, all of them are horrified. To quote the Western Journal, there are no shortage of proof that our culture is in decline, but when people have to ask what babies are good for, it's surely the death knell of a once great society. So yeah, a lot of these are from Christian publications who believe that Stop Having Kids is evil, for lack of a better word, a band of nasty, despicable leftists trying to destroy the precious sanctity of the family unit. And, I mean, what else can I say? Congratulations, Stop Having Kids. You guys are really out there doing the damn thing. This is truly a stunning display of media propaganda and hysteria against you. You guys are really, really hitting a nerve. Keep going. You guys are amazing. I love seeing what you guys are doing, and I'm glad that you're getting attention. I'm sorry that it's not attention of a more positive type, but, I hope that will come eventually. So yes, please, everybody, go check out these articles. There will be a bunch more news about Stop Having Kids later on in this episode, so stay tuned for that. But for now, I want to also take a look at an interview on the website biopoliticalphilosophy.com, which featured last month an interview called Dialogues on Disability. Shelley Tremaine interviewed Christine Overall. Shelley Tremaine, of course, is a feminist philosopher of disability, and Christine Overall is the author of the book Why Have Children? The Ethical Debate. And in this interview, Christine talks about her continued research and work on the subject of antinatalism, namely a paper that she's working on, and this is what she had to say about that. To address your other question, I can tell your readers and listeners that I am now completing an invited paper for a journal edition on David Benatar's anti-natalism. Benatar has famously argued that for every human being it is better never to have been, and that therefore people have a duty not to have children. I criticized his ideas extensively in my book, Why Have Children? The Ethical Debate. Since then, I have become more convinced on a visceral level by one of his arguments for anti-natalism, namely the argument that the sheer ubiquity and depth and variety of suffering. At the same time, however, I cannot bring myself to regret having 2 children, nor to feel guilty about having had them. Indeed, I cannot bring myself to believe that I was morally wrong in creating my own 2 children, now adults, nor that my children were morally wrong in each having 2 children of their own. And this in spite of my intense awareness, magnified now that I've lived for 72 years, of the depth and extent of human and animal suffering. Thus, the paper for the journal edition of Benatar's Anti-Natalism explores whether and how, if at all, I can justify, dissolve, or reconcile the apparent tension between my awareness of the power of Benatar's anti-natalist arguments from suffering, and my belief that my children and their children, and indeed most other people, are not Better Never to Have Been. So that sounds very interesting. I have not read her book, Why Have Children, but I really appreciate people who stick with the subject, even if they disagree, and that continue to produce work around it. So yeah, I really look forward to reading what she has plans on producing for this. Something to look forward to, for sure. So now let's take a look at the new academic papers for June 2021. These represent the academic papers, new academic papers in English for the month. There were two articles that, skirt the subject of antinatalism in some way, shape, or form. Those were international responses to Regretting Motherhood, published on the 21st of June 2021 by Valerie Hefferman and Catherine Stone, and there was also Annihilation Isn't Bad for You, which was mostly about David Benatar, response to David Benatar by Travis Timmerman. I'm not going to go into great detail about either of these because, while antinatalism, again, was brought up, it wasn't the chief subject really, but the one paper I do want to go into some detail about, I have to admit, did not come out in June. It actually was released at the very, very end of May 29th, 2021, and it is, of course, Effective Paths to Human Extinction by Simon Knutsman. I actually just made a video about this paper on my personal channel, Forever Wolf Films. You can go check out that video. My co-host to the Exploring Anti-Natalism podcast, Mark J. Maharaj, and I had the unique honor of actually being able to read a very early draft of this paper before it was released. I want to thank Simon so much for allowing both of us to do that. I'm going to quickly read the abstract of this paper. I list activities that could be part of a path to human extinction. I think the most effective activity is influencing policy. Many policies might matter for human extinction, at least indirectly. The policies in question are often a matter of what should be prioritized among different things that could be considered important. People with different views of human extinction might make different priorities. The second most effective activity seems to be improving capacity. One may improve capacity, for example, by building skills, networks, and well-functioning organizations, and by increasing the number of productive people involved and the amount of available money. Yes, so this is actually a really important paper. I think Simon, as I said in my video about this paper, is doing a real service, a really important thing. He is a PhD student, a very passionate animal rights activist, and it's very rare to find somebody in academia writing about these subjects, and not only writing about them, having the guts to write about them, but encouraging others to openly speak about them, and to, create academic careers around them, and, create professional endeavors around them. And again, so I just think what Simon is doing is really important. I am a big fan of his work. I have made other videos in the past about other papers. I very, very much encourage people to go check out this paper. Again, I think it's a very important piece of work. And I also very highly recommend people go explore the rest of his website. A lot of papers that I think will be of great interest to anti-natalists of all sorts, negative utilitarians. So yeah, a lot to explore there. But first, definitely go check out Effective Paths of Human Extinction by Simon Knutsman. I hope that you enjoy. I wanted to quickly take a look at some of the new blogs that have had posts dealing with antinatalism. I want to start off my description of this subject, of this section, by just saying that sometimes it is kind of hard to tell what is or isn't a blog per se, and it also is very easy to miss this kind of content. So I only really have, technically quite a lot of examples, but it's really only two examples in essence this time. But there might be a lot more out there that I'm just not seeing. So if you have things that I've missed, definitely inform me at antinatalnews@gmail.com. I wanted to point out one blog by the name of Digital Anti-Natalism: Is It Wrong to Bring Sentient AI into Existence by Sam Wolf. Now, this is actually not Sam Wolf's first article about the subject of antinatalism. He did, in fact, publish another article called On Antinatalism and Depression. in epochmagazine.org, issue 30, April 2020. This is a very interesting subject, the subject of digital antinatalism, that I am seeing more and more examples and discussion about as time goes on. I'm going to quickly just read the first paragraph or so of this article. Digital antinatalism is the philosophical view that it is morally wrong to create sentient artificial intelligence, AI. It is a variant of antinatalism which promotes the view that we should refrain from procreating for moral reasons. We can consider digital antinatalism to be a selective or weaker form of antinatalism, since one may subscribe to this position, but not antinatalism pertaining to humans or non-human animals. If you were an antinatalist with respect to all sentient beings, human, non-human animals, extraterrestrial, machine, then you would be a universal or strong antinatalist. So, very interesting article. I highly recommend people go check this out. Would love to see some people make, perhaps some response videos to this article. Link below if you'd like to read it. I also just wanted to point out the great Karima Kerma has been very active on his website, Anti-Natalism blog. Not one, not two, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, not 10 new articles of various lengths, little meditations on the subject of antinatalism or various surrounding subjects. So please go check that out. It's a great website, lots and lots and lots of very valuable content on there. Okay, and now it's time to take a look at the new books that have been released in June. We will also have some news about some books released at the very beginning of July, and one that is coming out in August, but is actually now available for pre-order. But the first thing that we'll talk about did indeed come out in June, sorry. I want to also add that for this section, we will be looking at all of the books on an international level, so these are not just books in English or from America. The first is a novel, I believe, called I Hate Traveling by Keijo Kanger. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. And he is actually an antinatalist from Estonia that was in the Antinatalism International launch event, actually. He provided how you say antinatalism in Estonian for the little video at the beginning of the event. So this is, as far as I know, is his second novel. The first one, I believe, was called The Nihilist. And I'm going to read the synopsis right now. A misanthrope goes on vacation to Slovenia. With a beer in hand, he traverses its mountainous terrain, visiting castles and climbing mountains, admiring the beautiful scenery, while at the same time mercilessly condemning the stupidity and inconvenience he finds along the way, relentlessly spewing his truthful bile everywhere he goes like there's no tomorrow. So I know very little about this piece. I don't really know how much of an antinatalist theme it has, but supposedly it's in there somewhere. So please go, support the work of an antinatalist writer actively producing new books with the subject somewhere, mixed in there somewhere. Very cool. Congratulations, Keijo, for the publication of your second book. The next is a truly huge piece of news that I'm surprised more people aren't talking about. It is, in fact, the release of a new David Benatar book in collaboration with Thaddeus Metz, Jason Werbeloff, Mark Oppenheimer, and it is called Conversations About the Meaning of Life in paperback. It was released June 29th, 2021. It's available on Amazon.com, and I'm not a big fan of this synopsis. At least the first part of it makes it sound like so, I don't know, like a pop kind of culture-y kind of book. It's so weird, but I'm going to read the synopsis now. What do Mother Teresa, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and the exploration of Mars teach us about the meaning of life? World-renowned experts David Benatar and Thaddeus Metz give us their answers to life's biggest question. Spoiler alert, it isn't 42. What the fuck? We've all felt a unique sense of isolation over the past year. Is there any way to find meaning in this brave new world? Benatar argues that from the cosmic perspective, life on this pale blue dot has almost no significance. But Metz holds a more optimistic view. Discover his rules for how anyone can enrich their lives through truth, beauty, and goodness. Conversations about the meaning of life is a discussion with two of the most important thinkers on the topic and includes an extensive debate between them. If you strive to lead a more meaningful existence and want an accessible, intelligent guide to the ultimate question, you'll love this book. So, huge congratulations to David Benatar for the publication of a new book. Very, very, very excited to see this. My copy should be coming tomorrow morning, so I expect that there will be some sort of update about this book next episode of Anti-Natal News. Next book we're going to move on to indeed is available for pre-order now on Amazon Japan. However, it will be officially published and released in August. I was miraculously able to order a copy of this. I want to thank Masahiro Morioka for alerting me to the publication of this new book. It sounds extremely interesting. It is called, I have no idea how to say the name in Japanese, but in English it translates to something roughly around A Correct Plan for the Human Extinction, a discussion with anti-natalists by Yu Shinagawa. And I have to say, before I say anything else, it does seem like a number of different authors are mentioned once or twice within the synopsis and whatnot, but the name that seems to be the most constant of people that have worked on this as in the writing, as far as writing it, is this person named Yu Shinagawa. And I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. But let me read you this phenomenal synopsis of the book. Let's think about how to destroy it together! Exclamation, 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 exclamation mark. The Demon King who has suddenly born the 10 humans gathered. A discussion begins that shakes the reader's quote-unquote morality. The almighty Demon King appears and forces 10 humans to discuss whether or not to destroy humanity. If the conclusion is, quote-unquote, reasonable, it will be realized. Thinking that the survival of humankind is a prerequisite, one person begins to insist that, quote, humanity should be destroyed. So, it kind of sounds like it's a manga, to be perfectly honest, and there is an illustrator credited by the name of Corsica. I'm assuming that just refers to the illustration on the front cover. From what I understand, this is indeed a novel. But, again, I have ordered a copy. I won't be able to read it because it is in Japanese. But I'm really hoping that I won't be the only one to pick up a copy of this, and that perhaps some of the other people that pick up a copy of this can, in fact, read it and tell me all about it. Because it just seems absolutely very weird and very delightful, and just, a great piece of antenatal something that you wouldn't expect to see. So moving on, the next book is being released in July, and it is in French. I'm not going to attempt to say the name, and I don't really know much about how, exactly how much antinatalism is really included in this thing, but I did see a number of people mention it, saying that, this is a new antinatalist work. I'm hoping that I will have an update about this particular book next month. And the last thing I wanted to talk about did in fact come out July 1st, and I am sticking it in this June episode because, again, I have ordered a copy of this. It should be here on Tuesday, and I expect that next episode I will have like a much longer, more in-depth update about this particular piece of something. Really amazing. I mean, again, just something you do not expect to see. This is the publication of basically, as far as I know, the world's first antinatalist children's book. With the exception of Life Sucks' coloring book, which, could conceivably be for children, but is kind of not for children, really. And it's called The Princess and the Oracle by Sarah Al-Shikli. I'm not sure if I'm saying that name. Al-Shikli. My apologies if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. I'm going to read the synopsis. Are you concerned about procreation from an ethical landscape and the oversaturation of pronatalist propaganda children are inundated with? Does overpopulation, potential economic collapse, and environmental catastrophes concern you? Written in the format of a fairy tale, this book will encourage children to think twice before they decide to become parents. In The Princess and the Oracle, Sarah Al-Shikli takes you on a journey that begins in the kingdom of the Eurycates, ruled by the Princess Sophia and her husband, Prince James, who, with the help of her kingdom's oracle, Dame Delilah, pursues their dream to become parents so that they have future heirs for their throne. With her strong and reliable connections to the leader of the Legion of the Storks, Dame Delilah helps make their dreams come true. But they encounter many difficult obstacles ahead before they decide to take their journey in the new direction that will forever redefine the future of their kingdom. She aims to re-educate children on the ethical nature of their existence in society while providing them with alternative pathways towards meaning, happiness, and prosperity. So, really incredible to see this. My goodness, the world's first anti-natalist children's book. Congratulations to the author for the release of this. I cannot wait to get my copy. As far as I know, it is also fully illustrated. I want to also direct you to the author's website, inandagoddess.org. So, I don't know what to expect from this. I think this is going to get into this has the potential to get into some very interesting conversations and debates and arguments about the ethics of exposing a child to antinatalist themes. So yeah, anyway, I'm hoping that, next month and in future months, there's going to be more to talk about and perhaps I'll have some updates about, this book and perhaps, the impact it's having. So anyway, once again, please go check out Amazon to get your copy. Now, there is one other giant piece of anti-natalism related book news, but we're going to hold off on reporting that piece of news until we get to the news from Poland. So something to look forward to. We'll be there soon. Alright, and now it's time to talk about the new anti-natalist YouTube videos. Yes, all of these videos come from YouTube. I wish I could spend an infinite amount of time talking about every YouTube creator that's produced content this month and every video in detail, but that just really isn't possible, unfortunately. But a truly astonishing array of content on YouTube did come out this month. Love seeing that. I'm just going to quickly name a couple of names. Seb Alex, Morality Without Addiction, Benedictines the Vegan, Never Evil, Cosmic Ephalist, Antinatalist MD, Antinatalist Minimalist, Metha Ethics, No Brains in Head, Sophie-philia, Prescriptive Fact, Approaching Reality, Twaddlehood the Lucid Antinatalist, Great Tide Show made an appearance this month, which is always wonderful to see. The channel Anti-Natalismo, for sure, beat everybody by producing the most videos. I'm pretty sure I didn't even get all of them on my list here. I'm pretty sure also, I haven't been doing a great job of cataloging it, but I think Anti-Natalismo produces more content than anybody, like any month, and I think has been for quite some time. So love seeing that, an amazing effort on the part of whoever runs that channel. Omar Ali also made some translations this month. So an incredible showing this month. Absolutely love seeing that from YouTube. So there are a couple of videos of great interest that I want to just point out. The first is actually a video from an event produced by the Romanel Center for Clinical Ethics. And it was an event of a presentation by a new paper by S. Matthew Lau, A Right Response to Anti-Natalism. I'm going to read the abstract real quick. Most people think that, other things being equal, you are at liberty to decide for yourself whether or not to have children. However, there are some people, aptly called anti-natalists, who believe that it is always morally wrong to have children. Anti-natalists are attracted to at least two types of arguments. According to the positives and irrelevant argument, unless a life contains no negative things at all, it is irrelevant that life also contains positive things. According to the positives are insufficient argument, while life does contain some positive things, as a matter of fact, almost everyone's life contains more negative things than positive things. In this paper, I first offer new reasons to reject these arguments. I then offer a positive human rights account of why or not it is not wrong to bring people into existence, but parents, in fact, have a human right to do so. So this was an interesting event. I did attend, actually, and the paper itself I don't believe is actually available yet. So there isn't anywhere that I could, that I can link it to. I don't have any information about when it will be available. But to tide you over for now, go check out the video. I think it is highly worth your time, and it was an interesting discussion, again, between this person, Matthew Lau, and a number of other participants and intellectuals and people that were there to discuss his work with him. So please go check that out. The next was a conversation produced by the great Lawrence Anton on his channel called A Discussion on Extinction, and this was a conversation between himself, Les Unite of the Voluntary Human Extinction Movement, Vehement, the artist Life Sucks, and Question Mark, who is the co-host of the Exploring Anti-Natalism podcast. And it was pretty good. I don't know if they fully got to what they were wanting to get to, but it was interesting. So I appreciated this conversation being produced, and it was a nice mix of people. I would like to see more of this kind of thing happen. And yeah, please go check it out. Absolutely. The next thing I wanted to point out is something from a channel called Casual Talk. It is in the language of Urdu/Hindi. There is unfortunately nothing that I could actually understand in this video, but it seems to be like some kind of professor or something giving a presentation on antinatalism and David Benatar. The title of the video is "What is Antinatalism" by David Benatar in Urdu/Hindi, History of Philosophy in Urdu Casual Talk. So yeah, I mean, it's just something that you should see. I think it is something that you should take note of. And if anybody out there, one of my reasons for bringing attention to it is that it would be nice to find somebody that can understand what he's saying and might be able to shed some light and perhaps even do a translation, should we be so lucky. So please go check that out. And the last thing I wanted to point to was a couple of new videos by the channel Daniel Clement. Daniel is not an anti-natalist, but he's somebody that's been making, the video here and there about anti-natalism for the last couple of years, and I just really like the guy. I find him to be very fair. I really appreciate that this is an idea that's been kind of stewing in his mind for a number of years, and I just think that he has the ability to, approach this subject with a lot of grace and understanding, and yeah, I just really appreciate his content, and I liked these new videos, and I think he deserves your subscription, quite frankly, and I think he deserves your views. So please go to his channel, please subscribe, please give him a like on some of these new videos that he's made about the subject, and yeah, thank you, Daniel Clement, for continuing to make very nice content about the subject of antinatalism. Okay, and now let's quickly talk about some videos that were made against antinatalism this last month. So the first one is from a channel called Parhaisia, and it was called Absurd Conclusions, Utilitarianism, Population, Antinatalism, and Veganism. And this was not a good video, I have to be honest with you. I think No Brains in Head, No Joy in Life, Joy, made a response to this, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I don't even know what to say about it. It exists. Go check it out if you want to. And then there was another video called Thus Spoke Haven. The video was, that's the name of the channel. The video was called Anti-Natalism, Is Life Worth It? Yeah, just a really glib. I mean, he did. I will say, I mean, he did some research, which was good. It was well produced. But again, not a great video, and probably worth a good response though. If you're somebody that likes to make video responses defending antinatalism or defending the antinatalist position, this would probably be a good one to make a response video to, I have to say. So I can recommend it for that reason, and that's that is sort of one of the reasons I highlight videos against or content that's made against antinatalism, because that's very good content for antinatalists to learn how to argue against. So yeah, go check these out. What else can I say? And now for the new Anti-Natalist YouTube channel. So as far as I can tell, there was only one new Anti-Natalist YouTuber this month, Mushroom Quixote. So sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Yeah, please go subscribe to Mushroom Quixote. Very interesting content so far. If I've missed any other new antinatalist channels from this month, I really sincerely do apologize. Please let me know in the comments, and I will rectify it next episode. Okay. You guys, the next section we're going to cover is the new anti-natalism related podcasts. There were more anti-natalism related podcasts this month than I have ever seen. I'm not going to go into too much detail about any of them. We'd be here all day. This does cover, the new podcasts internationally for the month. This is just a quick overview of some of what has notably come out over the month of June. I will say first off, 2 episodes, of course, were released of the Exploring Anti-Natalism podcast in June, episode 36, which was an interview with Asagi Huzumi, one of the 2 founders of the AAPJ, the Association of Anti-Procreationism in Japan. Excellent interview. I want to thank Asagi so much. Asagi also helped me get a copy of Better Never to Have Been in Japanese recently, so I want to especially thank Asagi for that as well. We actually traded copies, so I gave him a copy in English and he gave me a copy in Japan, and I'm really, really excited to own, now own Better Never to Have Been in a second language. But, Asagi and Furuno are doing some fantastic work, and I'm really excited to, continue to watch the development of the AAPJ. So excellent interview. Please go check that out. The second interview for the month of June was episode 27, and it was with the great A.K. Hunter, who is just a phenomenal musician and is the artist behind the new Anti-Natalist album No Child Left Behind. He also did a stop motion video to one of the songs on that album, The Sun, which is just absolutely incredible. Since the release of this interview that he did on the Exploring Anti-Natalism podcast, he has also released a video of the making of that video of The Sun, and that's an incredible video to go and see. So definitely go listen to the interview, definitely go listen to the album No Child Left Behind, definitely go watch the video for The Sun, and definitely go watch the behind the scenes making of The Sun video. All excellent stuff. So hope everybody enjoys those 2 episodes of the Exploring Anti-Natalism podcast for the month of June. July 1st, we also released an interview with the great Life Sucks, the author and artist behind the absolutely incredible A-B Seeds of Anti-Natalism, Anti-Procreation from A to Z. This was an absolutely fantastic interview. Please go check it out. Won't say anything more about it in this episode, but we will definitely talk more about it next episode for sure. So I'm just going to kind of go down this list really quick. There was an anti-natalism themed episode on a show called The Labyrinth, and it was actually an interview with Raphael Samuel and Nihil Anand. Very, very cool. So that was episode 4 of The Labyrinth, link below. A episode of Quantum Skeptic, the Unregistered podcast, actually had Doug Stanhope on talking about anti-natalism. There was an episode of a show I couldn't even begin to possibly even attempt to say, but it was a very, very, very long antenatal episode that was entirely in Finnish, and that was extraordinary to find, because to tell you the truth, I've almost never seen anything anti-natalism related in Finnish, and I always do searches in Finnish, because the Finnish spelling of anti-natalism is kind of it's kind of unique. It ends with an I. I don't know I couldn't. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it, but this was the first time that my fishing on Google for something anti-natalism related in Finnish had ever actually actually come up with something. So really interested in seeing that. There was also another episode of some show in Hungarian, which was interesting to see. Again, I don't have any information about either of these, either the Finnish show or the Hungarian show, or this next one I'm going to mention, which was in Telugu, the Telugu language. Probably saying that wrong. Ajith Kumar, Anti-Natalism Telugu podcast from Ajit Kumar. Yeah, I don't have any information about that either. But yeah, I mean, how cool is that? Like 3 different shows all to do with the subject of antinatalism in 3 different languages you never see anything antinatalism related from. So, that definitely made me pretty happy to see. The Dissenter, episode 481, had Saul Smilansky on. 10 moral paradoxes, and antinatalism was one of the subjects that they talked about. Very interesting. There was also a show called The End of the World that talked about antinatalism. Some of these shows have a Christian theme too. The Patrick Madrid show was definitely one of them. There's another show, don't think it's a Christian show, but it's called Sex and the Living Room with Bonnie and Justin. Primal Edge Health, The Fed Post, Subscurity, When Belief Dies. I think that one has got a Christian theme to it of some sort or another. A couple of different podcasts in either Portuguese or Spanish. Again, I think both of them, or 3 of them actually, if I'm not mistaken, have probably have a sort of an underlying Christian theme to them. Really couldn't tell you anything about these 2. There was also something called the Grazie Talks, and it was a gigantic 9-part interview with none other than Danny Shine. So antinatalism wasn't the only subject that Danny spoke about on the show The Grazie Talks, but it most certainly was one of the subjects. So definitely go check that out. Always nice to see a new interview with Danny. And if antinatalism related podcasts is like one of your hobbies, like it is mine, you have quite a lot to catch up with. So once again, if you want to see a full list of all the antinatalism related podcasts for the month of June, please go to the ANI website linked. It'll be the first link you see below. And yes, some of these will be linked below in the description. Okay, and now for the music section. So not a ton of news for June 2021. Astyanax, the brutal death metal band from Texas, has in fact now released their new album, Extreme Anti-Natalist Design. I believe the official release date was June 20th by Pathologically Explicit Records. They also actually had an album release show. That show will have already passed by the time this episode goes up. That was hosted on July 2nd, 2021 at the Halton Theater in Texas. I would have really loved to have gone to that, to tell you the truth. I like Astyanax very much. I did actually have the pleasure of interviewing them on the Exploring Antinatalism podcast. I'll link to that below. Very interesting band. Links below as well where you can get your copy of Extreme Anti-Natalist Design. There was also just some random thing available this last month on Amazon.com called Improvisation. Let's Give Birth to Lots of Anti-Natalists. And it's like an instrumental thing. I don't know what to make of it. There's really no information attached to it whatsoever. If anybody has any information about this, let me know. And then I found something by a musical project called Non-Viable. There is a track on the new album Imprisonment called Anti-Natalist. The style of music is described on Bandcamp as down-tempo deathcore project from San Diego, California. The album will be out July 16th. It is now up for pre-order, again, on Bandcamp. And I checked out the Instagram, and I listened to a little bit of the, just the material that's, been previewed for this album, and it's not what I expected at all. It seems like kind of like an anti-American insurrection kind of music project, and it's just really, really interesting. So I did briefly talk to the guy behind this project just on Instagram, because I just mentioned, I'm excited to hear the track Anti-Natalist. He did say that it's more of like an interlude track, so it's not a full song with lyrics apparently or anything, but still something I think deserves to be checked out by everybody. There was a couple of other small pieces of anti-natalist music news this month. You can find links to the rest of everything on the website. Extinctionist Records just happened to upload some new stuff on the YouTube channel that was, I think, only previously available, as albums that you had to purchase, like the new Corpse Stain album, which came out in 2020, so it's fairly new, called Last Messiah. Some of the new material from Anti-Natalist, which is a black metal band from Iraq, believe it or not. So some of that's been uploaded to YouTube. So some interesting stuff. Go check out the extra links and go check out some of the stuff I described. Okay, moving on to events. So June 2021 was the month for anti-natalist themed events. My goodness, there were so many. It was so great to see this. The first took place on June 7th by Moot Points. Is having children morally wrong? This was, of course, a conversation between Dr. Matthew Lee Anderson and the one, the only David Benatar. It was hosted by Christian Heritage Cambridge, and yes, it was a live event. You had to get it was a free event, but you had to sort of sign up to get a ticket for it, which I did. I did attend. It was really excellent. It was only about an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe somewhere in between there. Anyway, it was very enjoyable. The event was filmed, and it is available on YouTube. I highly recommend people going and checking it out. I did want to say real quick that the other person in the thumbnail, next to Dr. Matthew Lee Anderson, is not David Benatar. It is another person involved with Christian Heritage Cambridge. But yeah, I think this is like the second time I can think of in the last year that that David Benatar has had a conversation with a Christian or with a Christian organization. And I do see Christian organizations talking about antinatalism more and more. So I do kind of expect this to be something that we see even more of, perhaps. And I do find this conversation especially interesting, just, considering how much Christian antinatalism there actually has been in the past and really has the potential to be now and in the future. So yeah, highly recommend this. Please go check the video out. June 17th was the 9th annual International Anti-Procreation Day. The event by the Advocacy of Anti-Procreation, which, believe it or not, is a Chicago-based anti-natalist child-free organization that's been around a long, long time. June 17th, this holiday is always a lot of fun. It's basically just an excuse to do something anti-natalistic. Whatever you may choose. For this year, I had wanted to make a video for it, and just, life stepped in, and it wasn't possible. But Child Free India actually hosted an event on Clubhouse, which is this new app. Well, I don't know if it's new. It's new to me. This was the first time I had used Clubhouse. And we're going to talk a lot about Clubhouse, actually, later on in this episode, because there's quite a lot happening on Clubhouse that is either anti-natalist or child-free or both related. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I met a lot of very new people I hadn't been introduced to yet. And yeah, I think Child Free India, particularly Anugrah and Pratima, who are also my fellow co-founders for Anti-Natalism International, did an excellent job putting the event together, and we had a great time. So yeah, next year is really going to be quite a milestone. It's going to be the 10th year of International Anti-Procreation Day, so I think something especially exciting really ought to be planned. There was supposed to have been a London anti-natalist meetup organized by none other than the great Lawrence Anton on June 20th. Unfortunately, this event was canceled. So hopefully it can happen again in the future. That was rather unfortunate that it had to be canceled, but, stuff happens. The next event I wanted to go to so badly, and unfortunately I did end up missing it. It was an event which featured Masahiro Morioka. It was organized by the University of Birmingham. It was an event called the Global Philosophy of Religion Project Online Conference. Masahiro Morioka was a speaker, and he presented a presentation called Is Birth Negation Held by Atheistic Anti-Natalists a Kind of Religious Belief? I heard that it went very, very well. Unfortunately, it was not filmed. However, Masahiro did put together a video of his own of the presentation that is available online on YouTube, so go check that out. It's a really fascinating video. Moving on to some of the upcoming events in July. July 7th, there's an event called Pronatalism, Challenging the Societal Pressures to Procreate. This is a very interesting event. It is being organized by World Population Balance. It features 4 guests that I know of. It's a free event, by the way, but you have to go sign up to get your ticket. So I don't know much about this event at all, really. I'm very excited to go to it. I have received my ticket, so go sign up for that if you haven't already, and very much looking forward to seeing what they cover in this. On July 11th, the Black Numenarian, a YouTuber whom some of you may be familiar with, is having an anti-natalist themed event called Anti-Natalism, Child-Free, and Anti-Suffering Ethics in London, and he is actually doing it at Speaker's Corner, which some of you might be familiar with. That's where Danny Shine often goes and speaks. It is being hosted from Meetup.com. So if you want to join the event, go sign up for Meetup.com and go check that out. Yeah, I'm excited to hear if there's any news about this event or what it's going to be like, and I hope some people are able to make it to that. The next event I don't have a ton of information about. It's going to be on July 18th, and it is an event that's being run by a Chinese anti-natalist and child-free page on Facebook. It's going to be held on their Discord server, which is pretty inactive right now. But I am going to attend. I definitely want to be there. But I really couldn't tell you anything about what they're planning, and I'm quite certain none of it is going to be in English. But yeah, very cool. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about some other Chinese anti-natalist news in just a bit, but really maybe the first of its kind. I don't think anything, in the Chinese anti-natalist context like this has been even attempted anywhere. So looking forward to seeing how that comes out. July 31st is the big child-free conference, virtual child-free conference. Yes, hosted in part by the Child Free Girls. They are doing such incredible work. We're going to talk a lot more about them in just a bit. There's a huge lineup of panel discussions and special guests and topics, and I'm so looking forward to this. It's just over 25 days from now, so it's getting close. Again, it is free, but you do have to get a virtual ticket for it, so make sure you go and do that. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it other than I'm really excited for it, and yeah, can't wait. That same day, July 31st, is International Child Free Day, an event that has a long history. It is run by Laura Carroll, who we spoke about just briefly a little while ago. So it's a holiday, but it's also sort of a competition. You have to actually nominate people to win Child Free Day. There's Child Free Person of the Year that's nominated and wins every year, and then there's also Child Free Group of the Year. 2019, actually, Child Free India won. That award went to Pratima Nayak and Raphael Samuel. Theophile de Garreau is also a past winner, as is Karima Kerma. So lots of amazing people have actually won Child Free Day in the past. So if you have anybody in mind that you'd like to nominate to win International Child Free Day for 2021. Nominations actually opened June 25th. The deadline for submissions is July 22nd. I'm going to link below, obviously, to their website. Please explore, everything about International Child Free Day, what the prizes are for this year. Again, it's two different categories that you can nominate people for. Again, it's the Child-Free Person of the Year, but it's also Child-Free Group of the Year. So extremely exciting to see who wins this year. I think that the Child-Free Conference is going to be an incredible way to help celebrate International Child-Free Day. So yeah, I just, what can I say? I'm just really appreciative that somebody out there has kept something like this going for as long as she has. So I'm just very excited to help celebrate the event, and that concludes the events for this episode. Okay, I kind of lied. I apologize, because there are actually a lot more events to talk about. However, all of these events, which I will now speak about, are on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is an app that I was not familiar with at all until extremely recently. It's an audio-only conversation app. It's got an extremely international community on there, which is awesome. And it is very, very lively and active with child-free and anti-natalist content. I mean, really a lot of stuff going on there regarding the subjects of antinatalism and the child-free lifestyle, which is amazing to see. A tremendous amount of it is being spearheaded by the Child-Free Girls, who I absolutely adore. I was on their podcast, I think about 2 years ago. And by the way, that podcast has continued. There are some new episodes of the podcast released just recently, so I will definitely link to those. Please go subscribe to their YouTube channel and check out their content. They are, of course, also spearheading this giant, virtual child-free conference at the end of this month, at the end of July, pardon me. But they have started something called Child Free Club on Clubhouse, which is offering daily events on the subject of the child-free lifestyle. So I'm going to read you the full schedule of their events. Weekday mornings at 10 a.m. EST, there's a child-free morning chat. Mondays at 6 p.m. EST, there's a child-free and living with chronic illness chat. Tuesdays at 8 p.m. EST, there's a child-free evening tea event. Wednesdays at 4:30 p.m. EST, there's a child-free mental health check-in and chat. Thursdays at 5 p.m. EST, there's something called Child Free, It's a Choice event. Saturdays at 1 p.m. EST, there's a child-free LGBTQ plus chat event. Sunday, there's an 11 p.m. EST child-free Sunday brunch event. And yeah, I mean, that's an incredible achievement to offer their audience daily content. And I was told, I didn't know about this event until way after it had already passed, but they did recently in the last couple of weeks have an event specifically all about the subject of anti-natalism and ephilism. And apparently it was fantastic. They did a great job. So that's amazing. It's great that they're welcoming in people of all anti-procreative perspectives. Love seeing that. So big congrats and ups to the child-free girls for all of their hard work. You guys, you gals are doing absolutely amazing. But in addition to their efforts, there are other groups and people that are making a big effort on Clubhouse to provide, anti-natalist events and entertainment. Child Free India, of course, is very active on there, particularly Anugra, who has fallen in love with Clubhouse, which is awesome. And then there's also a Moroccan anti-natalist and child-free Facebook group that's also has held at least one event on Clubhouse as well. My friend Jassy is holding anti-natalist and child-free events. He's from Tamil Anti-Natalism. And it's just wonderful to see all of this happening. I definitely expect that in future months there will continue to be a lot of news from Clubhouse. And so I will make a point to continue to report on anything that I find out goes on there. While I was there at the event on the 17th, I did want to mention that I met a gentleman by the name of Oscar. And Oscar is from Africa, I believe from Kenya. I do apologize if I'm mistaken about that. But Oscar is working on a project to build an African iteration of Child Free India called Child Free Africa. So this is extremely exciting news. Unfortunately, at this time, I don't have anything that I can link to from Child Free Africa. I don't believe that Oscar has a website or like a Facebook or anything like that at this time. I think all of that is being worked on. But an amazing to see this. Again, I do expect that in future months there will be a lot more news from Child Free Africa, and I will make a special point to report on all of it. Congratulations to Oscar. It was a pleasure to speak with you the other day and correspond with you. And once again, I just very much look forward to seeing how Child Free Africa develops. Okay, so now some interesting news about Vehement, the voluntary human extinction movement. A little birdie had alerted me earlier last week that something was going on a Chinese social media site called Douban. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Related to Vehement, and some of these groups were very active. I don't know how active. But all of them were destroyed. All of them were removed. And nobody really knows why. There is some feeling that it might have been because of the recent three-child policy in China. And that maybe for some reason Vehement is conflicting with these new laws. The reason why the reason why it's suspected that might be the case is that in place of where some of these groups used to be, this message was posted. This group has been disbanded because it does not meet the requirements of the relevant laws, regulations, and administrative rules. In addition to all of the Vehement groups that were destroyed, there were also two other groups that apparently were sort of Vehement themed that I know absolutely nothing about. One of them was called Earth Destruction Task Force, and the other one was called Is Humanity Extinct Today? I'm assuming there was something lost in translation of that one a bit from Chinese. I did alert Les Knight about this to see if he knew anything. He did not, but he did post about this on Facebook. Since that time, the little birdie who originally alerted me about this did get back in touch with me and did provide a little bit more information. So I'm going to read what the little birdie told me. I didn't explain it clearer, but as far as I know, there were 3 Vehement-related groups removed. One of them is Vehement, which had 6,000 plus members. You can see the Google Cache site here. I'll put that below or on the website, what I meant by a dozen with probably a dozen similar groups out there, though I don't have evidence that they also got removed. I just realized last week that this crackdown might have something to do with the CPC's 100-year anniversary. There have been loads of groups that got suspended or disbanded during that period, so maybe it's a combination of both the 3-child policy and the anniversary. Interesting. Then there was a specific group that was linked to. There's this Vehement group, which still hangs. It was very inactive until the ban, and the group founder made a post saying that this group has nothing to do with the movement, which is very weird. It is very weird. So honestly, I don't know what to make of this. The banning, again, could have something to do with the recent 3-child policy. It could have to do with this anniversary, which I knew nothing about. Regardless, it does seem like Vehement was at least somewhat targeted by this crackdown of sorts, which is unfortunate. I know nothing about Vehement in the Chinese context. I was surprised that there was so much Vehement on Chinese social media to begin with. I don't believe that Les Knight was able to gather any other information about this. If I find out anything else, I will have an update about this. But for now, it just remains a bit of a mystery, I'm afraid. Okay, and now on to a little bit of Ephilism news. So I wanted to let everybody know that Inmendum is back on the Inmendum channel. He could not use the Inmendum channel for a while because he had strikes on that channel. There were also strikes on the Inmendum videos channel as well, so both of those channels were unusable. He did make a number of weekly What the Fuck episodes on his website, donotgo.com. One of them was a response to an article by Kenton Angle called the Anti-Natalist Paradox. It was a really good response. I will definitely link to that below. In addition to that, the new What the Fuck on the Inmendum channel is also a response to another article about anti-natalism, Larry Sanger against anti-natalism. Was an article, I think, from 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So another really good video, link to that below. Something I did not expect to see also appeared in June, which is a Spanish entry for Ephilism on Wikipedia. So getting something in Wikipedia is very difficult, actually, because you need a lot of different references, generally from printed sources and that kind of stuff. And Ephilism has very little of that. There were attempts made years ago to add Ephilism to Wikipedia, and it just wasn't possible because it doesn't have enough references in print and the like to make something like that happen. Now, there is more than there used to be, so there is more of a chance that something like that could happen. And it's kind of an interesting question as to how much that sort of thing is policed across all of like the international, iterations of the Wikipedia site. So this current entry on Ephilism in Spanish, Efilismo, only has one reference, and it's to the Anti-Natalist magazine, which is actually a different project entirely from the project of Andreas Moss. This was like an online-only project. There are other things they could add that might end up, being acceptable to have on something like this. But because it only has that one reference, I think there is a possibility that this is not going to last. We'll see. I honestly have no idea what to expect. But just wanted to let everybody know that it is there, so go check it out. Wanted to also shout out the Russian Ethilists of Telegram. So Telegram is, of course, this social media app that I enjoy, and there is quite a lot of anti-natalism and Ephilism and child-free stuff going on Telegram. And there's quite a vibrant Russian Ethilist Telegram. And they have done a lot of really great translation work recently. So they translated different parts of the Ephilism Wiki, which is by Lord Satan X. So they translated the FAQ from that. They also translated the main page from that Wikipedia and added all kinds of like cool pictures and stuff to spice it up a bit, and it looks great. So this is really great that they've done all this work to prepare all these resources in Russian, and they've also done, incidentally, a Russian translation of the book Even Deeper Honesty, which is, not specifically Efilism related. Sometimes people think that it is, or want it to be, at the very least. I don't honestly know enough of what was behind that project. Nobody seems to know who wrote it. I've read parts of it. It's very, very long. It's over 1,000 pages. And I don't know if it has ever been translated into other languages. This might be the first translation of it that exists, is in Russian. So this was a huge undertaking. So I want to thank the Russian Efilists of Telegram for all of the work that they've done. And I will link to all of these resources that they've created below and on the website. Great work, everybody. And they also have invited anybody that wishes to join them on Telegram. So I will also put links to the invites for their Telegram. So thanks very much. Okay, and now we come back to more news about Stop Having Kids. Yes, so the big news is that they are going on tour. I'm going to read you this from their Instagram. Next week, Stop Having Kids will be embarking on a West Coast tour all the way down through California and then hitting up Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, Nevada. If you would like to get involved with Stop Having Kids outreach demonstration in any of these areas, please comment below or send a message here or via email. If you've already sent a message in the past saying that you'd like to get involved, you don't need to worry about it. Your contact info and the fact that you'd like to participate is in a safe and an organized place. If you'd like to make a kind donation to travel costs for this work, as well as the cost for the production of high quality materials such as flyers and signs, please head to, and I will link to that below, where you can donate to the creation of their efforts. So that is really, really cool. Hope some of you out there get to make it to that. I would love to see them tour Chicago and other places eventually. I know that's quite a distance from where they are, but that would be outrageous. They really are just making such amazing headway in such a short period of time. It's pretty incredible. Very, very, very humbling. And so yes, I will leave that donation link below if you can help them out at all to make this trek, this journey, and for all the other stuff that they're trying to do, then please go and do that. Another very exciting piece of news from Stop Having Kids is their Billboard campaign. Yes, this is something that I have wanted to see happen for many, many, many years. So this is really extraordinary that they're actually getting this going. Okay, so I'm going to read you a little bit about that. Stop Having Kids would like to have its first Billboard campaign up and running tentatively by mid-September through mid-October. Austin, Texas is where we'd like to kick things off, and timing will be great because the website will have some major improvements and developments by the fall. As far as major cities in America go, Austin is one of the best and most progressive we got. We think this message will thrive in Austin, and since the city will have a major influx of visitors during October for the Austin City Limits Music Festival, we think this would be a fantastic time to do it. The amount of conversations a Stop Having Kids billboard would generate is remarkable. How refreshing will it be for people to actually witness a billboard that's full of meaning and that promotes critical thinking and compassionate living? The only way a billboard will be able to go up is if we're able to have a successful fundraiser. We're working on the details and costs now, and then a fundraiser will materialize in the coming days or weeks. It's hard to decide what the first billboard will say, so we'll likely have different options and then allow donors for the billboard to vote. If you live in Texas and you'd like to be part of Stop Having Kids outreach demonstrations during Texas city limits, please let us know. The dates for the festival are October 1 through 3 and October 8 through 10. Note that anybody who participates in Stop Having Kids outreach isn't required to talk to anyone. You can simply hold up a sign and do nothing more if that's how you'd prefer to participate. Can't wait for the first billboard to become a reality, and neither can I. So yes, I am so excited that in coming months, I'm absolutely positive we'll have tons more news from Stop Having Kids. I mean, I did want to say there is sort of a tradition of anti-natalist billboards in the past because of the Church of Euthanasia euthanasia and the work of Chris Korda. So it's kind of neat on that level too to see this sort of happening again, but for the first time, so to speak. So yeah, I'm so excited to see how this develops. Please make sure to go visit the Stop Having Kids website, stophavingkids.org, their Instagram. If you can, donate and help them along in everything that they're doing. And now for some Anti-Natalism International news. So yes, Anti-Natalism International is still chugging along. We've had some unique setbacks, but we have a lot of things that we're working on, and some things are still very much in play and have now begun for the year. So the Anti-Natalist Film Festival is indeed still happening. However, some of the dates are about to change. I had to, unfortunately, take sort of a break from advertising for the festival. We have had some excellent submissions so far, which I'm very happy about, and I hope to see some more by the festival dates. The last deadline is supposed to be at the end of this month. The original last deadline for the festival is July 31st. That is no longer going to be the final deadline. So the next deadline, that will still be a deadline that you can submit to. You certainly can, but there will be future deadlines. So this is just sort of a schedule moving forward for the rest of the festival. So this month, July 20th, there will be another film festival info session that will be live on Zoom. I'll have more information about that event shortly. July 31st is now just another deadline in a series of remaining deadlines that will be new. August 15th is another deadline that is now available. There will also be another info session that month on the 20th. September 15th will be another deadline that you can meet. The 20th, again, of September will be another info session. There will be another deadline on the 15th of October and another info session on the 20th. And then the new final deadline will be November 1st. So you now have until November 1st to submit your film. You can submit your film through Film Freeway. You can also email me with your submission at antinatalnews@gmail.com. Very, very much hope that people continues to submit work. There's been a lot of fantastic entries. Well, there's been a few fantastic entries so far, which I'm delighted to say. You will be notified as to your inclusion in the festival November 15th, and then the new final actual film festival dates are all of December. So it's December 1st to December 31st. The films will play on the Anti-Natalism International website. A lot more news about the festival on the way, lots of info sessions to look forward to, and I'm happy, honestly, that there's more time for people to submit work and more time to advertise it. And I do apologize to everybody that there was a bit of a delay in getting the festival fully going. I wanted to also let everybody know that the Anti-Natalism International blog on our website is now open for people to submit papers to, essays, papers, just pieces of writing that people have done that they'd like featured on the Anti-Natalism International website. You could now submit them to us, and we haven't really discussed how long each entry that's submitted will be up. Maybe a month or so. I don't know yet. I'll have more news on that soon. But actually, if you go there now, link below, our first submission is up. It is a paper by Spencer Roche, who's actually behind sort of an attempt to create a birth strike 2.0. It really doesn't have anything to do with the birth strike movement as originally envisioned by Blythe Pepino. It's sort of a new birth strike 2.0 movement, and he's done a lot of work on that already. And yeah, so he's also written and submitted this paper. It's called "Children and Animals: Socialism's Forgotten Comrades." It's really, really interesting. Highly recommend it. So again, go to the Anti-Natalism International website and check out that paper on the blog. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what people will submit. We're not under any obligation to accept just just anything. It will be selected and agreed upon by all of the founders of Anti-Natalism International. So, you know, fair game. But yeah, we're looking forward to seeing what people submit, and we're looking forward now to being able to feature people's work. I wanted to also say that I have just this last couple of days announced the beginning of the 7th annual Why Are You an Anti-Natalist contest. Yes, I've been doing this for 7 years now. Just amazing. My favorite time of the year, really, where new anti-natalists and established anti-natalist entities on the internet and beyond are invited to either do a piece of writing or make a video explaining why they are an anti-natalist. Some extraordinary work has come out of this contest every year. Some great anti-natalists basically, you know, did indeed make their introduction to the community through this contest over the years, and I've been very, very proud of that. All forms of anti-procreative thinkers are welcome: child-free, anti-natalist, ethicist, vehement, and anything and everything somewhere in between. It can be a piece of writing, it can be a video, it can be a piece of, you know, it can be artistic, it can be explicit, it can be, you know, a hardcore philosophy video, it can be a song, it can be a performance. Really, so much is allowed. It can also be in any language that you choose. We will try very hard to get your video translated so that it can be understood and shared by everybody. There are a multitude of prizes available for all of the categories and all of the winners that we will have this year. One of the prizes is actually a donation, a beautiful sculpture, these beautiful bookends that were forged by your reigning anti-natalist winner from last year in the new anti-natalist division, who is, of course, Conor Garcia, who is the author. He actually won with a written entry last year. It was a parable called The Little Mosquito, by a parable by Conor Garcia. He is also the author of the novella Last Call for Heroes. I actually just did a very long interview with Conor Garcia for the Exploring Anti-Natalism podcast. That will be out July 15th. But anyway, he made these beautiful bookends for the winner of the new Anti-Natalist division. So that is a very special prize that will be awarded to one person, in addition to a slathering of anti-natalist books and t-shirts and stickers and all manner of good stuff. People are, if they wish to donate some prizes this year, that is always very, very welcome. People tend to do that every year. So contact me at antinatalnews@gmail.com if that is something that you're interested in. Now let's talk a little bit about the categories. There are 4 categories this year: best video or piece of writing by a new anti-natalist. This is the only category that's allowed to submit slightly older work. You can submit, if you made your introduction to the community and made a video explaining in some way why you're an antinatalist since the end of the last year's contest, we're going to say that's July 2020, then you may submit your slightly older video. In any other situation, you have to submit something new. You have to either do a new piece of writing or you have to make a new video. So anyway, that's the new guys category. The second category is the established anti-natalist category. So if you're somebody that's been around in the community making content one way or the other for a number of years, you know, you can still restate your belief in some variety of antinatal thinking with a video or a piece of writing. Last year's winner was Life Sucks, actually, so he is your current reigning. And then I have a separate category for best arguments against antinatalism. So if you disagree vehemently, no pun intended, with any variety of antinatalism, you may make a video explaining why. There is a special rule for this category. Really applies to all the categories. No personal attacks, okay? You got to keep it philosophical. You got to keep it to the ideas. All that is welcome, but no personal attacks. I am under absolutely no obligation to accept a submission for any reason I see fit. It's at my discretion solely. All submissions that are accepted will be added to a playlist, as they are every year. I'll also create a Google Doc with all of the new written deadlines. The contest will run from July 3rd to to August 3rd. There is always every year at least one extension, so definitely expect that there will be a little bit of extra time at the very least. We'll talk more about that as we get closer. Once again, if you have any questions at all, contact me at antinatalnews@gmail.com. Also wanted to say that I did in fact make a video about this just a few days ago on my channel Forever Wolf Films, so if you'd like any additional details about the contest, you can go check out that video, link below. And that's all of the news from Anti-Natalism International at the minute, but more on the way. Okay, and now let's go around the world, starting with India. So just a little bit of extra antinatalist news from India. There was a video produced by a channel called Compelling Content on YouTube, and it seems to be a gentleman who's reading a story that is inspired by antinatalism. It's in the language of Bangla, from what I understand. I can't find anybody that speaks that, unfortunately, but I would love more information about this video if it's possible. It's a charming little video. I mean, even though I can't understand it, it's very compelling. So again, I would love more information about it. If anybody happens to have some, please go check it out. Quick bit of news from Romania. There was, in fact, an article released with the word anti-natalism, anti-natalista, in it. A very interesting spelling of anti-natalista with the last A seems to have some horns. I'm not entirely sure how that's pronounced or what you call that particular mark above the A. I don't think that it has anything to do with philosophically minded anti-natalism. It seems to be, that version of anti-natalism that has more to do with population and abortion and contraception, and seems to be an article from some kind of religious perspective. But I did want to point it out regardless, so that does exist. Not at all sure what country this originates from, but there was a little bit of Arabic antinatalist news. A channel by the name of AJ Plus, which is a very, very, very famous channel with 1.39 million subscribers on YouTube, released a video about antinatalism. It was sort of like a news piece. It featured footage of Raphael Samuel. Pratima is also in this video, which was awesome to see. Some footage from the Child Free India event in Bangalore a couple years back ago. It looks like an incredibly fascinating video, really well produced. So anyway, I'd love to see an English translation of this. Eventually, all kinds of people make a little appearance for one reason or another in this, which is kind of interesting. I won't name names. But yeah, seems to reference quite a lot. Again, I don't really think it's an opinion piece so much as just sort of an informational video of sorts. But nice to see such a high-profile video on such a large channel. Very interesting. There were a couple of other videos in Arabic about the subject of antinatalism this month. I don't know what to say about them, but you can find links to them on the website. Because news from Korea is so rare, I thought I would point out that it seems that antinatalism was the topic of at least part of a discussion on some kind of Korean YouTube channel. I don't know if this specifically counts as a podcast. It seems to be some kind of call-in show. I don't know what else to say about it, but I definitely wanted to make sure that the few of you that might be interested out there knows that it exists. Link below. If anybody has any information about it, please do let me know. Little bit of German antinatalist news. The YouTube channel Clear Mind has continued to produce content. Really, really love the stuff that he makes. There were at least 5 new videos, so please go check them out, and please make sure that you subscribe. So, some additional antinatal news out of Russia. Several YouTube channels did in fact make videos around the subject of antinatalism over the course of June, most particularly the channel XY, who I really do think produces some rather beautiful content. The other channels that produce videos around the subject, unfortunately, I really couldn't tell you anything about those videos due to the language barrier, but they are linked either below or on the website or both. So if you have any interest, please go check them out, and you have any information on them, please let me know. Moving on to China, there were a couple of articles around the new 3-child policy in China that did use the term antinatalism, but I think it's important to note that this is another instance where antinatalism, the use of the term antinatalism, is not really referring to antinatalism as a philosophy, but in this other usage of the term. But it is always interesting when those kinds of instances happen, and we'll talk more about this in just a little while once we get to South America. In addition to this, there was also a new video on a channel called Deep Talk, Anti-Natalism Deep Talk with EM. really couldn't tell you anything about this video, unfortunately. Another instance where, if you happen to have any information about this at all, I would love to know. So contact me if you do. So now we move on to what is mostly antenatal news from South America, although there might be some Spain mixed in with all of these. It's really hard for me to tell, but I do apologize if I am inadvertently making that mistake. Now, our coverage of the Spanish and Portuguese, South American, and Spain equation of antinatalism is really pretty complicated, and it sort of has two different parts. So there were indeed several videos made on several different YouTube channels, which I'm quite sure, in the language of either Spanish or Portuguese, that I'm quite sure are related to philosophical antinatalism. And I'm probably pronouncing the names of these channels wrong, but one is Keitaro, Horatio Gesto, and Mari Clement. And so, yeah, they've made videos all throughout the month of June. But in addition to this, there is an enormous number of articles that came out, I think mostly from South America this last month, using the term Anti-Natalista or Anti-Natalismo as a means to describe abortion, contraception, mainly from religious outlets. And in addition to all the articles, there's 3 different videos around the subject of this instance of using the word antinatalism, or in this case antinatalista, antinatalismo, in this different way that we are not familiar with. They're not talking about the philosophy as conceived by David Benatar. And as some of you out there might know, the word antinatalism does have a longer history than as conceived of by David Benatar. Anybody that you and I would probably be more familiar with. It does seem like instances of usages of the term date back to perhaps the 1950s. I don't have a really clear history of that history. Unfortunately, it's a bit spotty even now. But back then, it did refer to population. It referred to a number of different things, and it's just interesting that it sort of continues to, but in these pockets of the world. I mean, I don't, except for maybe Romania, as we just saw a little bit of evidence of, and maybe China, I don't know. It seems like mostly instances of this happening exist in South America, where really quite a lot of religious, media outlets are using the term in this manner. And, again, it doesn't refer to the philosophy that we're used to, but it is a usage of the term in this other way. And I would really love somebody to do the proper research into why that's the case, why this term is continuing to be used in this way in these countries, even now. Yeah, it's just really fascinating. And I admit that I'm collecting information about it actively. I do save all these links, especially when there's videos. It's very rare that I see videos. But it's probably not really, I'm probably not best suited to do that research. So I'm hoping somebody can one day make use out of this information being collected. I admit that I did not do the proper amount of investigation into, some of these stories. I know a lot of them came out of Cuba this last month. I do plan on going back and, researching them a little bit more in depth soon. But again, I think somebody really should do a much more proper investigation into this different usage of the term antinatalism in South America and why it continues to persist and exist that way there. Yeah, it's just really fascinating, but unfortunately, it opens up far more questions than it does answers. So, if anybody out there is interested, please have fun investigating and exploring the links in the videos that I've saved that are evidence of this happening. Okay, and now we've come to the anti-natal news from Poland. So there wasn't much during the month of June 2021. There is normally an enormous amount of anti-natal news out of Poland, but the news that there is really rather exciting. So I have long had a history of not being able to pronounce this gentleman's name correctly, but I do believe his last name is Starzyński. He is a famous photographer who last year published a book around the subject of anti-natalism, Antinatalism, and the book is absolutely gorgeous, and guess what? Some very important people agreed. So there was this news from Starzyński on his Facebook just recently. Awesome news. A project of my book about anti-natalism nominated for the Polish Graphic Design Corporation. Congratulations, and I don't know how to say that, design. Fingers crossed for the win. On June 26th, the Polish Graphic Design Awards took place in Warsaw. We are very pleased to inform you that Michał, and I don't know how to say his name, of Polish Graphic Design, was nominated for the category of Publishing, Report, Educational Book, Technical Publishing House, a Dictionary, for the project of Starzyński's book, Anti-Natalism. To be in such an outstanding company, it is a great honor for us, and a drive motorcycle to further, this is a Google Translate, to further and even better work. Congratulations to all the finalists, and we encourage you to visit the competition website where you can find links to all nominated projects at www.polishgraphicdesign.com. Awards. By the way, here it is. We would like to inform you that David Benatar's translation of Better Never to Have Been book is ready, most likely within the next few weeks, and will be added to our editorial office. We will begin intensive work on the text. Due to the publication of the second book, we are preparing several valuable surprises for you, as well as the necessary improvements to the entire sales system, so that you don't encounter any more different difficulties in ordering, which sometimes happen to us. So, if you didn't catch that, there is now going to be a Polish translation of Better Never to Have Been. Yes! So, Better Never to Have Been is really not in that many languages yet. I mean, there's a Japanese translation, there's a Korean translation, there's a Turkish translation, I think. There's, I think, an Italian translation, and I think I'm forgetting one, at least one, but now there's going to be a Polish translation. A Polish translation of Better Never to Have Been is desperately needed, I think. So this is incredible news, and this was the extra piece of antinatalist book news that I was hinting at earlier. Amazing, amazing work, so I'm really happy for all involved. So, amazing news, congratulations to everybody. Okay, and lastly, the anti-natal news of Japan. Okay, so we did talk a little bit about Japan already. There is a new anti-natalist Japanese book on the way. This month, however, the big news is that there was an absolutely extraordinary number of videos around the subject of anti-natalism released in Japan. Extraordinary number, like more than I have ever seen. I think in part it is because of the recent television program on Amoeba TV that was available around the subject. I did report in detail about that in May. This was incredible. Like, I unfortunately can't tell you a goddamn thing about any of these videos because of the language barrier, but so many interesting ones, so many that I wish I could tell you something about. But I highly, just for the spectacle of it alone, just to see really how much there was, and I'm sure there's some perhaps I've missed, but yeah, go check out the list of them. Some of them will be down below. So I'll link to some of them below that seem notable, and the rest of them will be available on the Anti-Natalism International website. So pretty amazing to see. Always love seeing what comes out of Japan every month, and this month it did not disappoint. And that concludes this episode of Anti-Natal News for the month of June 2021. I so hope that you've enjoyed. You can find me on the YouTube channel Forever Wolf Films and keep up with my daily anti-natalist news updates at Anti-Natal News on Twitter. The Anti-Natal News podcast can be listened to on Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, and so many other platforms. If you have any antenatal news that you would like to submit to the show, have information about a piece of news already reported on, or maybe know of some important news stories that I may have missed, don't hesitate to email me at antinatalnews@gmail.com. Special thanks to Anugra for the Antenatal News logo and to AK Hunter for the theme music. See you next month, everybody. All the best, and bye for now.